Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Denise Tan, and in tonight's Game Plan. The Golden Tigresses are out tonight. USC's very own Aya Laure, Amy Hernandez, Maji Mangulabnan, and Coach Kung Fu Reyes join us live.
Sobrang happy si Denise. And then, we'll play our signature game, Go Big or Go Home, as we look ahead to Game 6 of the NBA Finals. And we'll also preview the 2022 FIBA Under-16 Asia Championship matchup between the Gilas Filipinas Youth and Kazakhstan. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game.
Sabay-sabay tayo. Go, Ste! Go, Ste! Go, Ste! Go, go, go! Akala ng mga writer natin dito, hindi ko papatulan yan. But
No.
the cheer
No.
of the beloved Sea of Gold that never failed to give their loudest roar for the UST Golden Tigresses. They wrapped their UAAP journey with a gallant stand, finishing 4th in Season 84. And tonight, the studio oozes with Tiger power as the fierce and ferocious Tigresses of España are out of their den. Nag-react si Paolo, but let's all welcome Aya Laure, Amy Hernandez, Maji Mangulabnan, and of course, the one and only Coach Kung Fu Reyes. Ladies and Coach, ako, I'm so excited as you can see.
Sobrang excited ni Denise, sorry.
Okay.
Hindi ko na kayanan.
I'll tone it down.
Oo, hindi.
Okay.
Go lang, Denise.
Welcome to the show and welcome to the game. Welcome to the outside world. Kamusta kayong apat?
Thank you.
Ang ganda nung
Oo
salong
nga eh.
Perfect
you.
yun, perfect.
Coach, unang-una, siyempre, mahaba yung lock-in period ninyo. Out of the den kasi, nag-bubble kayo going into this one. Kamusta naman yung feeling na nakalabas na kayo ng bubble? Anong ginawa niyo muna as soon as you went out?
Actually, hindi pa kami ready lumabas ng bubble pero accidentally, andito na kami. Malaking may mga adjustments syempre. Especially yung environment. Lalo-lalo na sa mga players.
I know you girls stayed, 5 to 6 months? Right?
Almost
7?
Almost.
7 months. Anong una nyong...
Six
Six.
months.
Anong una nyong... 6-7 months. Anong una nyong mga pinagkaabalahan? Let's start with you. Pagkalabas nyo.
Yung pagkalabas ko, talagang gumawa talaga ako, nagpaspa. And of course, diretso din ako kanina, galing akong rehab.
Okay.
Nagpa-rehab ako.
What about you, Maji?
Nagpaspa din, like wax and all, gano'n. And then, yung comfort talaga ng bed, syempre.
Ikaw, Amy,
Amy.
anong una mong hinanap?
Sabay po kami na Ate Marge ng Pasko.
Ganito. Sa linggo, sabay-sabay tayo.
Alright, girls, kasi, okay, we all know that medyo na-cut short yung season ninyo, but then, syempre, it's been quite a journey in terms of kung saan kayo in terms of placing, and then, syempre, the pressure that you all had to go through at the end. Kung i-describe ninyo yung season 84 in one word, what word would that be? Let's start with Leia.
I think, challenging.
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 Okay.
Naunahan ako. Somewhat rewarding.
Rewarding and?
Sacrifice.
Okay. Coach? Ito naman.
Sa akin, revive.
Sorry?
Na-revive.
Na-revive. Bakit revive?
Yung siyempre yung sa lahat ng fans ng volleyball. Na-revive especially sa mga players. So, yung young ones na ito na ulit si UAAP, yung mga, siyempre nakikita nila ulit yung mga ina-idolize nila. So, kumbaga mas naging optimistic lalo yung mga bata. So, na-revive yung Philippine volleyball, especially yung UAAP.
Gusto ko yan eh. Big picture talaga yung tingin ni Coach yun, ha? But,
Ako din ba?
oh, ikaw na rin. Oh, UST Golden Tigers ka rin naman.
Nakatitig ka kasi sa akin.
Okay, go.
Ako, my word would be bitin.
Bitin.
Yes, and katulad ng sabi ni Coach, naramdaman natin yung suporta ng fans, di ba? Naramdaman ni Aya, ni Maji, and everybody else, si Amy, on that team. And we all know na pwede pa may pwede pang i-push ng konti eh. But of course, we are looking forward to seeing you girls, all of you, next season. Pero pag-usapan muna natin yung current season happening right now. We all know magkalaban ng Ateneo at ang Lasal, with Lasal getting that twice to beat advantage. Ano sa tingin niyo yung nangyayari ngayon? Advantage of one over the other.
Oh, parang may scouting report ka na. Ready ka na.
Siguro po yung nangyayari ngayon is yung kung sino po yung mas gustong manalo and mas eager sa ginagawa niya.
Okay.
It's all
Taji?
about desire.
Yeah. I think, kasi parehas naman sila talaga na advantage sa height and same lang yung nilalaro nila. I go with Amy talaga kung sino na lang yung gustong mas manalo.
Okay.
Ako
Same
naman,
answer?
I think, yung talagang fighting spirit. Labanan to ng fighting spirit kasi nga Ateneo, Lasal, alam naman natin, very rivalry talaga sila since dati pa. So I think kung sino yung pinakamas matibay at hindi bibitaw hanggang dulo. Yun.
Well, Coach, syempre, sorry, we have to ask you also parang coaching scouting report sa mga sa nakita mo.
Well, 4 years ago, ito na yung na buong rivalry pagdating sa UAP volleyball. In terms of height, tsaka lalim ng bench, basta lamang si Lasal. Pero still, 6 man naglalaro, plus 1 libero. On the other hand, si Ateneo, merong veteran libero, which is si Danny. Tapos andun din yung number 2 top scorer ng season, si Faith. Andun din yung Gander, si Erica. So yung si Maragino at si Ja.
Yeah.
Na talagang well orchestrated lahat ng ang bato ng bola. Doon sa kabila naman, kung mapapansin natin, andun naman yung middle nila. Lalaki sila Thea, si Sharma, and syempre yung mga wing spiker nila, even malaluan.
Yeah.
Kahit rookie, pero kala mo maglaro na, veterano na. So, andun din si Julina. So, magandang match up. Pero ang lang talaga dito, yung lalim ng bench, mas malalim ang bench nila sa same time, talagang matatangka din.
True. Well, syempre, as much as we want to talk, well, personally, I want to talk about Ateneo Lasal, but we have to talk about UST, them being here. Pero, Coach, the future of UST, kasi syempre, encouraging start to. It feels like, for all the teams, restart, kasi galing nga sa pandemya, first season in quite a while, and then sa simula, a bit of rust, and then things started flowing. Para sa'yo, Coach, what can you take from this season going into the next one? Kasi short turnaround lang relatively short turnaround, and to improve yung team na to.
Well, yung namin, mas swerte pa rin kami at least lumabas kami ng buo. Walang injuries or anything na nangyari na hindi maganda. Aside from that, meron kaming may yung mga COVID reserve namin, which is anytime pwede na maglaro. So ang naman namin, ang downside namin is we have, I think, 7 graduating students. So hindi pa namin sila kasi binibigyan muna namin sila ng time para doon. Kasi kung hihingi namin yung sagot nila, galing kami sa talo, baka sabihin nila, ayaw na namin kasi maglaro. So yun ang medyo iniiwasan namin. Pero muna, kaya nga naman medyo matagal-tagal kami nagsama sa loob. At ito yung time na para umuwi muna sa kanilang mga pamilya. But I think, siguro nanonood sila ngayon, so baka sasabihin nila gusto ko pa maglaro. So yun ang hinihintay namin na sagot nila. Siguro mga 2 weeks siguro, baka humingi na kami ng sagot sa kanila.
Yan.
Okay.
Pangiti-ngiti lang yung nasa
Tama ba yun? After 2 weeks. Bibigyan muna namin sila ng
Walang sinasabing ngiti, ngiti lang.
Ngiti lang.
Mga 2 weeks muna ako magtatago. Pero, like what Coach and I have mentioned also, girls, di ba? Ang laking suporta na nakukuha natin from the UST community. Ano yung gusto nyong, o ano yung tingin nyo mapapangako nyo sa kanila come season 85?
Siguro yung mga lapses namin from the past season, mas mag-i-improve kami. And mas ipapakita namin talaga sa kanila na worth it kami para sa support nila. And also, yung pagmamahal na nabibigay nila sa amin, ibabalik talaga namin ng buong-buo sa kanila.
And etong season na to, yung sakit na naramdaman namin netong season, gagawin namin siyang, babaunan namin siya hanggang next season para naman mag-grow din kami individually. Yan.
Alam mo na yung sagot,
So,
Reading between the lines.
Alam mo, it's a trap.
pero, ayun, hopefully, magawan talaga namin ng paraan kung ano man yung magiging lineup namin for next season na kung ano yung mabubuong lineup next season.
Okay.
Ayun.
Okay.
What about you, Ami?
Yun po yung, aside po dun sa sinabi nila, siguro po yung mas makikita nila kami next season and sa mga susunod na season na kung ano po yung mga natutunan namin nitong season 84, mas babaunin po namin and mas mapapakita po namin kung ano yung talagang pinaghihirapan po namin since then.
Ladies, kasi syempre, a lot of people want to see this team reach even new heights next season. Coach, when you saw the fans back finally, kasi you were talking about yung return ng volleyball, gano'ng kalaking bagay, sabihin natin next season, kapag wala ng restrictions, more and more people will come in, na yung full force talaga ng UST crowd will actually be there. How big would that be para sa team mo, if ever?
Yung kasi yun talagang ini-aim namin na ibalik yung yung mga yung spectator, especially yung UST community, na through ups and downs andyan sila. So siyempre sila yung pinaka 7-man team namin. So talagang ibabalik namin sa kanila yung pinaghihirapan nila. Yung sakripisyo din nila coming from all over, I think Luzon. Siguro yung sakripisyo nila na para manood, siguro susuklian namin ng pinakamagandang effort na pwede namin ibigay para sa kanila.
Coach, girls, maraming salamat. Thank you very much for coming over. I think we asked all of the relevant questions.
I think
Oo.
somebody answered even though she wasn't directly
Oo,
asked.
oo,
So
yeah.
yan na lang ang panghahawakan ko. For the next 2 weeks, bago tayo balitaan ni Coach Kung Fu kung ano nga ba talaga. Ha?
Alright, girls. Maraming salamat, Coach. Thank you then. Congratulations on the season. We can't wait to see you next time around. So, after the break, we'll play our signature game, Go Big or Go Home with Isaac Go. See what we did there? As we look ahead to Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game.
welcome back to the game. Game 6 of the NBA Finals will happen tomorrow in Boston. Tonight, we bring in three-time UAP champion and NBA hype analyst Isaac Go to play our signature game called Go Big or Go Home. And this time around, I will be asking the questions and Isaac will be answering them, and Pao will be the one to give his violent reaction.
I never agree with Isaac.
You never agree with me. That's
I never
why.
agree. But Isaac, first of all, before we even begin, I hope you're doing well. We're all hoping that you can recover very quickly. We can't wait to see you on the court again. And again, hopefully you're doing okay.
Thank you. Thanks, pal. I appreciate it.
Okay, so simulan na natin to, Denise. You have the first question.
Yep.
Isaac will give his take, and I will disagree no matter what.
Okay, go no matter what. Okay, go big or go home. Steph Curry will hit 5 threes in Game 6.
Huh.
I go big on that
Okay.
because last game he struggled. He didn't hit a three. He
Yeah.
broke his streak, and this is the closeout game. I know Steph wants to bounce back. He is gonna hit 5 threes, and because my prediction was Golden State was gonna win in 6, so I have to say agree with that.
Alam mo,
that
you
it
know
falls
what?
in line.
As much as I think that he's gonna bounce back in a big way, I don't necessarily think it's gonna come in the form of 5 threes. Because I honestly do feel that itong Boston team na to, they're like, hey, if we did it once, we can sort of do it again. So, at least limit the guy. Unfortunately, I don't think that necessarily means na mananalo ang Boston if they do limit the Steph Curry. Kasi feeling ko, Klay Thompson is there. You never know what's gonna happen. But I don't think that necessarily Steph is gonna bounce back immediately with 5. Sabihin na lang natin 4. Basta hindi 5.
Is 5 a huge number though to begin with for Steph Curry?
Ooh, Isaac.
I don't think so. He's averaging 5 now, and you
Yeah.
know that Steph can hit 8, 9. He'll have those games where he has those crazy, absurd numbers. So I think if there's one person who can do it, it's probably him. Then
Yeah.
yes, Clay will do it. So one of those guys is gonna hit 5.
Game 6 Clay eh. Game 6 Clay ako dito eh. Pero alright, sige. Let's move on, Denise.
Let's move on. Go big or go home. Will Jason Tatum will score 40 points in Game 6.
I go home on this just because we've seen throughout the series they're tired. But both, not only Jason Tatum, but both teams are tired, and especially with the Celtics, who usually run a 8-man rotation. It's gonna be tough to pull a 40 out of his bag right now, especially with how Golden State's defending him. Andrew Wiggins is playing at a high level, so I think it's quite unlikely that he's gonna drop 40 in Game 6.
Alam mo, I would say go big if they said 30. Pero 40 might be too much of a stretch. Normally, I would disagree with Isaac. Pero
Yes!
I think that this is too big a stretch here. Alam ko yung instructions is to violently disagree. Pero mahirap talaga eh. I don't wanna go into a side wherein I honestly don't think it's gonna happen.
Tignan natin.
Oo.
If magdi-disagree ka dito, Game 6 Clay will come alive.
Yeah.
Ah,
Go big.
there.
Go big. Go big.
Okay.
As Paul said earlier, we're not gonna disagree on this.
Yeah. No,
And
pero you know what? I can actually disagree on this. I said that there's a possibility the Game 6 Clay will come out, but I don't think it will happen necessarily. I think that's the scary thing about Golden State. They don't need Clay to explode anymore. They don't need Steph to take over to the point wherein he just is a one-man team. Because we saw Andrew Wiggins can pop off. We saw Jordan Poole can pop off. Does that mean that a Game 6 Clay won't appear? Not necessarily, but I don't think they need them as much. And I don't think Game 6 Clay is going to come out this time around, Isaac.
I think it's just because this guy has a chip on his shoulder. He wants to,
Okay.
like, especially with all the hype now where Andrew Wiggins is getting talked about, Jordan Poole is getting talked about, and we know Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson's may paggayabang rin siya na, hey,
True.
I'm Klay Thompson. So
Yeah.
I think that might show in Game 6, and I feel like it's more likely to happen than not.
Ito,
Oo.
Isaac, since he mentioned it already,
Oh.
Andrew Wiggins, for the 3rd straight time, is gonna have a big game.
Okay.
I think the big game is little stretch. I think he's gonna have because Andrew Wiggins provides so much rather than just the scoring.
Yes.
So, do I mean he'll have a big game? Probably. In other sense of the basketball word, like he's probably gonna guard Jason Tatum. He's going to make it difficult for everybody else. But in terms of numbers, I think he might cool down because having two strong games like that, Boston's gonna adjust. Boston's gonna say, okay, we can't let him get off anymore. So I'm go home on this one, but it's just on the statistical side and the scoring side.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll personally, Andrew Wiggins, he feels a bit of a wild card. I honestly don't know what side to take here. But then when you look at Andrew Wiggins and what he's done, he feels more of, if he gets on a streak, he stays on it. So I personally would go big on this one, simply because I think that he's feeling it. I think that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are going to have so much attention on them because of the fear of a Game 6 Klay, or a fear of whatever Steph is going to do after not hitting a single three-pointer. I think there's going to be a lot of room to operate for Andrew Wiggins, so let's see what happens there.
Okay, this one, the last one. Boston will go big or literally go home after Game 6.
I'm gonna go home in this one. This entire time, I've said Golden State in 6. So I'm sticking to my gut. I'm sticking with it.
Alam mo,
I'm not gonna change anymore. So
alam mo,
I'm gonna stay with it.
I'm gonna say go big. I want a 7-game series here. But then it's also not out of the realm of possibility. Nakita naman natin dati. Boston, when they're locked in, are very locked in. They can find ways to get the points in. They can lock down Golden State when needed, especially when all the emotions are in. Who knows? Al Horford could have another massive game that no one expects, and Coach Willie Wilson will be upset that he talked trash about Al Horford. You never know about that, and that could happen. I'm going big on the Boston Celtics. Push it to 7, Boston. All right, so this is my line next. So wala akong segue dito na maayos. George, stay where you are, because when we return, we'll preview the matchup between Gilas Pilipinas Youth and Kazakhstan in the ongoing 2022 FIBA Under-16 Asian Championship. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back. You're watching The Game. The Gilas Pilipinas Under-16 squad is set to face Kazakhstan after finishing the elimination round with 1 win and 1 loss in the 2022 FIBA Under-16 Asian Championship. Still with us is Gilas big man, the biggest man out there, Isaac Go. Isaac, how are you doing?
Good. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest man.
Well, you're the biggest man on this show, so
Yeah.
that
Between the
counts.
three of us,
Between the three of us,
You're the biggest person here.
objectively speaking. All right, Isaac. Denise has a question, especially about
Yep.
the last one.
Yeah, so before we get to the next matchup nitong Gilas, balikan muna natin yung laban nila against Japan that went down the wire. What do you think of their performance in that last game?
I think I love the grit trying to come back in the game. I watched the start of that game and it was a struggle for them to get into their offense. They seem to still be trying to figure out how to play with one another, but you got to give them credit despite the explosion of the Japanese player Kawashima, who dropped 26 and 18, that they still try to find ways to win the game. They still try to find ways to keep close. And you got to give credit to this young squad for trying to make a comeback.
Yeah, Kawashima in particular scored, almost outscored the Philippines in the end of the first half. But of course, this team, they now face Kazakhstan in their next matchup. It's a do or die here if they want to make it to the upcoming World Cup. What do you think are the key adjustments that they have to make?
I think it's just time. The one thing they didn't have was time in preparation, where they didn't have really a lot of tune-up games to prepare. So they're still trying to figure out how to play with one another. But going to Kazakhstan, compared to their first two games, expect a lot more size, a lot more physicality. That's usually the trend when you move on towards when you face the Middle Eastern countries, Central Asia rather than the Eastern Asia countries. So expect bigger, stronger players and expect a lot more physicality. These players aren't going to back down. And in my experience, when you play against Middle Eastern countries, they don't care how old you are. They'll just say, we're going to out-physical you, we're going to out-muscle you.
Isaac, you also mentioned na nga kanina, no, you loved seeing that grit that our players had. And I think we can all agree there's so much potential on that team. Who do you think are the players to really watch out for from Gilas?
If there's two, the first one would be Caleb Harris. I've had the chance to play with him in the Gilas program during the SEA Games build-up. And I see the potential. He's 6'4", 6'5", long, athletic. He has all the tools. And with his shot coming along, he's someone who I think a lot of people expected to take charge in this youth program, especially having the Gilas experience, having the men's program experience. And the second player would have to be Jared Bahai, someone I've been pleasantly surprised with watching, especially with the national team having so many different personalities. It's very important to have someone who can stabilize the floor, someone who can run a team, especially there are a lot of weapons on this team, and he's been actually the one scoring rather than assisting, but the way he's able to set up the floor, when he's on the floor, there's a certain composure, there's a sigh of relief, and you watch them, it seems that they execute better when he's on the floor. So two guys I've pleasantly surprised with.
So you talk about these two guys, and I'm gonna wrap this all up in one question. Jared Bahai, his stat numbers are very consistent: 12 points in both games, 8 and 6 rebounding, and then 6 and 3 assists. On the other hand, Caleb Harris has scored only 2 points in the opening game and then 18. Can Jared stay consistent? And do you feel that Caleb Harris is trending upwards in terms of getting his feel at this level of competition?
I agree. I think Jared Bahai, when you watch him play, he's really steady. He doesn't do anything out of the order. He doesn't go beyond what his skill set is, so it allows him to retain consistent. With Caleb, I think it's different now. When you go in the seniors program, a lot of bigger, more physical guys.
Yeah.
In the youth program, it's a little bit faster. His athleticism is more magnified now because he's a better athlete across everyone. So I think he's trying to find that middle ground where I'm going to rely on my athleticism to produce, but at the same time, hey, I'm also skillful. I have to use it too.
All right, well, Isaac, for those who want to catch the Gilas Under-16, you can do so because the Gilas Under-16 versus Kazakhstan will tip off tonight at 8:45 p.m. Catch that on the Smart Giga Play app with a delayed telecast on One Sports Plus at 9:30 p.m. and on One Sports at 11:30 p.m. Isaac, maraming salamat. Thank you very much for joining us here today. Get healthy real quick. We can't wait to see you on the floor again.
Thanks, Isaac.
Thanks for having me.
And to everybody watching us, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Denise Tan.
And I'm Paolo Del Rosario. This has been The Game.